G'day Internet, welcome back to another video and to my Amstrad CPC 464. Now, if you cast your mind back a while ago, I got this machine all up and running. I think I did some work on the tape drive, and the other thing I did was I picked up a DDI1 and an FD1 to give myself some kind of modern media, because in the FD1 I stuck a Gotek. Fast forward 12 months or thereabouts, I decided to pull out the mighty Amstrad to have a bit of a play with it because it hadn't been touched for a while. I'd probably just finished watching something on Noel's Retro Lab, but that's beside the point. And the FD1 and DDI1 just wouldn't work. Nothing. Dead as doornail. And I spent hours, days trying to get the thing to work again. Nothing. The Gotek, which as you can see is actually missing because of all the screwing around I did, would power on because the FD1 has its own power supply, and that's as far as it'd get. Wouldn't read any images, nothing. So at that point I kind of had the shits with the whole thing. I went, screw it, I'm going to go out and I'm going to buy a new, modern, ready to rock and roll kind of disk drive emulator, something for this machine, because I really do like the CPC. So the first thing I picked up was, because it was cheap, this thing called a USI-FAC Mark II, right? Which is advertised as the Gotek killer. I even printed a case for it to make it all nice and neat, and I could never get it to work. It just doesn't work. Tried different firmware updates, the whole lot. Never works, it's garbage, don't buy it. So I then went shopping, and there isn't actually that many. You can go full on something like an M4 board or something like that, and that just didn't really interest me. I wanted something simple, maybe with a RAM upgrade that would just work. And the only thing really available now is the DDI5 from Zaxon. So I ordered one. I waited the months for it to show up from Poland, and it finally arrived. So let's take a closer look at this device. So here it is here. This is the DDI5 by Zaxon. What is it, you may ask? Well, it is an emulated DDI, so disk interface unit. It's got a built-in Gotek, and it's also a 512K memory expansion, all in one little neat device. Now, when you buy it, it does come in this nice little case. The only thing I've done is I went and made a label. If I remember, I'll put a link in the description if you want to make your own and you happen to have one of these. Primarily because I knew eventually I would forget what all the buttons and switches do. But you've got your simple Gotek controls, so back, forward, and enter. You can switch between the normal AmDOS, which is built into the Amstrad, or you can switch over to ParaDOS, which is also in the cartridge. You can change this between A and B drives, and that then relates to the expansion on the side. I'm guessing if you plug something in by default, that becomes A drive, and therefore you've got to switch the Gotek to B drive. USB port, just like any other Gotek, and a reset button. Now, the beauty of this is its simplicity. You literally just need to take, if I can find it, you literally just need to take a thumb drive. I've got a nice little one here from SanDisk. Put your DSK disk images on there, plug it into the Gotek, and that's it. There's no configuration files, there's no messing around, nothing. You just plug it in and off you go. So let's take a look. So here it is, DDI5, USB drive stuck in the top. This simply plugs into the expansion port on the back of the Amstrad. To power it on, and it boots. And it really is just like using any other Gotek. So for instance, if I want to dial up, all I need to do is dial up a image. What's something good? No, that's rubbish. That's rubbish. Let's take Outrun, for instance. hit enter on the Gotek, cat, drive A, run, outrun. And outrun is running. It's just as simple as that. And that's exactly what I wanted, was just a simple device that was reliable and just worked. So like I said, this thing has also got a 512K memory expansion. So the question then is what can you actually do with that memory expansion? Well, this being a 464, it's only got 64K of RAM, but there is a bunch of games out there that will take advantage of 128K mode. For instance, there's a 128K mode version of R-Type. And the version of Grisor for the Amstrad also requires 128K. So that's all well and good. We can run 128K games, but this machine has 512K of memory now. What can we actually do with that? So I did some poking around, and excuse my ignorance here because I'm not an Amstrad aficionado. There is an operating system for Z80 based machines, so like the Amstrad and the MSX, called SimOS, which is a full GUI, almost Windows-ish operating system for old Z80 based micros like this. Now, personally, I think that's kind of lunacy and a little unnecessary, but it is incredibly impressive considering the hardware that we're talking about. So, anyway. Disk images on the Gotek, obviously. We just simply go run sim. And SimOS loads. As you can see, we're running version 3.0. Does take a few minutes to boot. And as you can see, a kind of Windows-ish looking GUI. Now, there are some mice that are compatible with this. I don't have one, but it does work with a joystick. And you've got a command line, for instance. No, you don't. We need to change to the apps disk. And we should be able to do things like dir. And there you go. Now, you can run this. This does support 600 by 400 resolution, but it's almost unusable, I found. So the question then is, okay, so we can use, where are we? We can use, obviously, the full 512K, and if we go into Control Panel, we can go to System, And it will tell us that we're using a CPC 464 with 576 kilobytes of RAM, which is kind of cool. It is actually a multitasking operating system. So as an example, I can have, get that open? Right. So I can have the command line running. I could then open back up that system properties. So that's working. And also, what else can we open up? There isn't that much on the basic install, and say our mouse settings. And I can easily change between all of them, or down on the taskbar. And it does have a task manager. So there we go. Our CPU is running at 23%, 41% of our memory, which is actually pretty good when you think about it. There's a whole bunch of processes that are running and our apps. So what are some of the apps that you can use under SimOS? Well, I found two that I was kind of quite impressed about. So let me change disk. No, I need the apps disk first, and opened up Sim Commander, which is the file manager. Okay, now I want to grab the disk I want and go show reread source. And yes, this is Doom. And this is a quite funny little, very cut down version of Doom. So, new game, hurt me plenty. We use the arrow keys, and we can play Doom on a CPC 464. Oh, I think that's a couple of bad guys, or there's a bad guy there. I saw a pixel move, put it that way. Aha! Got him. Now, it's obviously running at about half a frame a second, but for what it's doing, I actually think this is kind of impressive, considering that we've got like an entire multitasking operating system running in the background. And actually, just pure out of curiosity, let's bring up Task Manager. And yes, we're using 100% of the CPU. That shouldn't really surprise me. So the other little program that I found was a cute little utility. Let me just reread the disk. I'm sure there's a shortcut key that I don't know for that. And it is a simple little speech synthesizer. So, which, again, considering the fairly limited audio sound chip, whatever, that's in the CPC, I kind of like that. So that is the DDI5 from Zaxon. Look, I quite like it. I did, in saying that, I wouldn't have bought it. If I did, I actually put a lot of research before I handed over cash. Well, excuse the first device I bought for a second. And I like it because it's simple and it just works. I came into it simply wanting an easy way to load software. And that's exactly what it gives me. The 512K memory boost is a bonus, I guess, although it does open up a whole lot of better games for me as well, and including things like SimOS. Now, I don't know what other add-ons for the Amstrad CPC, I don't know the full plethora of them, and I don't know the cost. To give you an idea, this was 90 euros plus postage. I can't remember exactly what I paid for it because the exchange rate's been up and down recently. And obviously by the time I then paid for shipping to Australia and exchange rate and import fee and all the rest of it, it wasn't cheap, put it that way. I wouldn't say it's the most expensive add-on I've ever bought for a vintage computer, but we'll go with the not cheap. But for the money, you do get a reliable, easy to use add-on, and this is probably the only add-on I'm ever going to need for my CPC for what I use it for. Now, before anyone jumps in with a comment, Zaxon didn't send me this. This video isn't sponsored. I went out and I bought this with my own money, and Zaxon, if he even sees this video, it'll be the first time he even hears about me doing it. So there's nothing like that going on. But at the end of the day, can I recommend the DDI5? Yes, I can. Even for the money, I think that it does exactly what it set out to achieve, and does everything I could possibly want from a device such as this. But for now, that will pretty much do it. If you liked the video, click like, subscribe, all the usual YouTubey kind of stuff. If you'd like to help support the channel, I am now on Patreon, just like these wonderful people just here. But until then, I will see you in the next one.
Amstrad